In this video, I'm going to be making the same game 4 times, in 1 day, 10 hours, 1 hour, and in 10 minutes. Let's see how we go. As a game developer, it's always fun to try and make a game in a set amount of time, even if the set amount of time is 10 minutes and the game sucks. Either way, I thought it would be fun to try and make the same game in 4 different set times. In a recent video, I made Minecraft in 1 day, 10 hours, 1 hour, and in 10 minutes. But I wanted to try and make my own game and see what happens. The game we're going to be making is a 1v1 shooting game. Now, just a couple of things I wanted to mention before I make the games. Ideally, these games would be multiplayer games, but I don't actually know how to program multiplayer. But I didn't have enough time in this challenge to make the games multiplayer, so instead I'll just be developing terrible enemy AIs. So instead, I'll just be developing extremely advanced enemy AIs for the games. So let's try and make a 1v1 shooter in 4 different times with 4 different set amounts of time. For the first game, I wanted to make a 1v1 shooter with platforming mechanics. The idea was that the players would battle in a small map and they could use their guns to launch themselves around the map. To get started, we needed to create a player movement system and a gun for the player. In my last video, I paid 4 different game developers on Fiverr to make a platform shooter, and one of the games had a really fun player movement system, so we added those mechanics into our game and things were looking pretty good. The movement system worked well as the player could use the gun to launch themselves around the map. Now, since this game was a 1v1, we needed to create our enemy AI. The idea for the enemy AI was pretty simple, just copy the player mechanics. After copying the player mechanics, we essentially had to create a control system that would allow the enemy to randomly do different movements that the player could do. Firstly, we made it so that the enemy would randomly move either left or right, and at random intervals they would change direction. Then we made it so the enemy would randomly jump. Next, we gave the enemy a gun. If the player was in range of the enemy would automatically start shooting at the player. Now, as one of the main features of the game was that you could use your gun to launch yourself around the map, we had to make it so that the enemy could do that as well. To do this, if the enemy was not in close range of the player, at random intervals, they would aim their gun at the floor, shoot, and jump. Now that the player mechanics worked and the enemy AI worked, we could start adding some finishing touches to the game. I added an impact effect whenever the player was attacked, where the screen would shake and the player would flash. I added a health bar for the player and the enemy, added a background, a title screen, and screens for when either blue wins or red wins. And there we go, our game was complete. Real quick, if you would like to play this game for yourself or play any of the games I make in this video, they're all available on my Patreon over at patreon.com/badgamedev. Anyway, let's try it out. Alright, and here we are with our first game, Just Shoot. So as you can see, we've got a pretty epic main menu here with the one button that says play, and if we click play, we'll jump straight into the game, so let's do it. As you can see, we've got our player here. We can jump, we can move, we can shoot, and of course we can use our gun to launch ourselves across the map. So yeah, the enemy is sort of over there, so let's go take them out. Okay, that's cool. I actually really like the mechanics of this game. Oh no, the red's there. That's right, we'll sort of sneak up on him. Oh, he's already got me. Boom! Nice. So as you can see, the player bullets, when they collide with the enemy bullets, will destroy each other. So that way you can sort of block with your own bullets as well. I must admit, this enemy AI, it's pretty advanced. Oh man, it's pretty close. Blue wins. Nice. Before we move on to our next game, I wanted to take a second to talk about our sponsor of this video, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of online classes and members from all around the world. With you guys always asking the best way to learn game development, I'm happy to say that Skillshare is one of the best places to start. I have personally been using Skillshare to further develop my game development skills, specifically with Unity and 3D game development, as this is what happened when I tried to make Minecraft. On Skillshare, there are hundreds of different game development classes and classes on other skills that help with game development. A class that was really helpful for me was called Blender 3D, Your First 3D Animation by Southern Shoddy 3D. Learning how to use Blender is super important for 3D game development, and this class helped me better understand how to use Blender and how to animate in the program. Now, if you would like to join Skillshare for yourself and get access to this course and thousands of other courses, the first 1,000 1,000 people to use the link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So if you want to learn game development or continue to grow your game development skills, join Skillshare today. For the next game, I wanted to make something similar to the first. The idea for the second game was going to be another 1v1 shooter with platforming mechanics, but the idea was that the first shot landed would win the game. To get started, I created a player and programmed some movement and jumping mechanics. I then created an enemy and programmed an extremely advanced enemy AI system. Basically, the way that it worked was that the enemy would walk left, and then at a random interval, walk right, and then repeat. I then added a shooting mechanic for both the player and the enemy, where they could only shoot one bullet at a time. I added a mechanic to the enemy, where if the player bullet is in range, the enemy will jump. This allowed for the enemy to try and dodge the player bullets, and made the game a little bit more challenging. And there we go, the game was complete. Let's check it out. Alright, let's go. So we're playing as Blue, getting straight into it. Let's just dodge his attacks. Pretty simple, to be honest. Just jump whenever it goes that way, and then just don't jump when it goes that way. As you can see, the enemy AI is not as advanced as my last game, but it's still pretty. He just won, so let's try shoot him, and he will jump straight over it, but we can pretty easily trick him just like that. Yeah, so this game, it really doesn't have a lot to it. You sort of just first shot wins and the game just keeps restarting. But you know, it's kind of fun, I guess. Especially the one shot at a time makes it really interesting because you can't just spam your bullets. But yeah, pretty fun game. For the third game, I wanted to make a top-down 1v1 shooter. I started by making a simple movement system for the player, then creating an enemy that followed the player. I added a shooting mechanic to both the player and the enemy. For the enemy, I added in a mechanic where they would stop following the player when in a certain range of the player, which is when the enemy would start shooting. The last thing I needed to add to the game was a health system. I liked the system that I had in the first game I made, so let's just copy that over, and cool. The game was complete. Let's give it a try. Alright, we're in game right now. The enemy's over here, and we're just gonna play. So let's make sure to dodge the enemy bullets and try to shoot the enemy. Oh, you can't touch this. So since it's only one bullet at a time that can be shot, the closer you get to the enemy, the closer they'll shoot, because the bullet will sort of be destroyed quicker. So if I stand behind the wall like this, it'll sort of spam shots because the bullet will keep destroying itself. And obviously, if I just run, he won't be able to shoot me, but I'll be able to shoot him. That's actually a huge glitch. But oh well, it was made in 1 hour. It's pretty fun. Easy, I won. Good game. For the final game, since I only had 10 minutes, I wanted to just make a simple 1v1 shooter, where similar to the second game, the first shot that's landed wins. I created a movement mechanic that followed the mouse, I added a shooting mechanic where a bullet would spawn when you click, and I added an enemy that would move up and down and randomly shoot at the player. And there we go, our game was complete. Let's try the game. And here we are with the final game, so we're jumping straight into it, and we're just gonna dodge the enemy bullets. Yeah, this is really simple. So if I click, I can shoot, and first shot wins. So let's just try to time it, and oh, we got him, we won. And there we go, a 1v1 shooter made in 1 day, 10 hours, 1 hour, and 10 minutes. I'd like to once again thank Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Remember, the first 1,000 people to use my link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Once again, if you would like to play any of the games in this video, they're all available on my Patreon over at patreon.com/badgamedev. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like, feel free to leave a comment, and if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Peace.